Alrighty guys, I might ruffle some feathers with this video, but I want to break down why I believe, especially when you're starting at a young age, stocks are better than real estate. I want to break that down in this video, and no, I'm not just going to dump on real estate and tell you guys never to buy a house, a duplex, triplex. I'm not going to say that. In fact, at the end of the video, we're going to talk a little bit about when I think real estate is good. But before we do that, we have to break down why I think, especially when you're young, stocks are better than real estate. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and not even when you're young, just in general, some reasons why stocks are better than real estate. So sit back, relax, take a sip of your coffee, and let's dive into the video, guys. And oh, by the way, if you want 10 free stocks from Moomoo and 12 free stocks from Webull, all those are linked down below. Free money, guys. Let's talk. So number one is you don't have to deal with closing costs and realtor fees when you're in the stock market. Sure, you have to pay maybe expense ratios if you're in mutual funds, but mutual funds suck anyway. I mean, you got to get out of mutual funds if you're in those. I mean, if you're in, let's say, VOO, for example, you're paying practically nothing to own the S&P 500, the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the U.S. So when you're in real estate, when you're buying a house, when you're selling, there's closing fees, there's realtor fees, there's fees all over the place when it comes to real estate. And what does that do, guys? That eats into your money, eats into your pockets. And if you're a young person, you really don't have much money unless you got a huge inheritance, or maybe you hit it big on a crypto, or maybe you do have a very high paying job at a young age, which, let's be honest here, most people, they do not. And when you're looking at stocks, they're just straight up way more liquid than real estate. Think about it. If you want to sell your stock, you could do it in about 30 seconds. You could log into your brokerage, hit sell, or you could specify the quantity of shares, then hit sell, then boom. The money's right there. You're done. And when it comes to real estate, it takes a lot longer to sell your house, even in a hot market. I mean, there's still a lot of annoyance that you have to go through to get rid of your house. It's not as simple as hitting a button. And let's say we're not in a hot market, which the real estate market has definitely cooled down now. Interest rates are going up, mortgage rates are going up. People can't afford the monthly payments anymore. Now that the markets are cooling down a little bit, it takes even longer to sell your house. That's how it works. And of course, it all depends on where you live. Don't get mad at me in the comments, guys, but that's just the reality of the matter, right? And of course, the cliche when it comes to real estate, you have to deal with tenants, the headaches, unclogging toilets at 2 a.m., which with stocks, you do not have to deal with that at all, which you guys obviously know that. If you have a stock, you've never had to clog a toilet or unclog a toilet. Maybe you clog a toilet, but you've never unclogged a toilet. But with a real estate property, maybe you're not unclogging toilets. It's kind of a joke, guys, but you are dealing with tenants. There's a little bit more friction involved there, right? One of the main reasons why I think stocks are great, especially if you're a young person, and by young, I mean, maybe in your teens, early 20s, mid 20s, whatever, you can invest with a small amount of money. You don't need a huge down payment. You don't need a bunch of money, right? A pile of money. You could start investing with $100 a month, $500 a month, whatever it may be. And then if you start in your teens, in your early 20s, 5-10 years down the line, you're going to have a sum of money. Then you could be like, all right, maybe I'll take this money now and then invest it into real estate, which, again, we're going to talk about when real estate's appropriate, in my opinion, here in a couple of minutes. So make sure you stick on throughout. But yeah, if you're young and you're not making much money, obviously you're not going to be able to just go out and buy a duplex or triplex. Don't just believe everything you see on Instagram and TikTok, guys. It's hard. And think about it. If you're a young person, right? You're only 20 years old. You're not making much money. To get approved for a loan, you have to have 2 years of income, of solid income, growing income. I mean, it depends. Sure, there's some jobs where you get out of college and that's a perk. We're not going to talk about that in this video, where you can get approved without the 2 years. But let's say you're self-employed, like me, for example, or just anybody out there that's self-employed. You're going to need to have some years of income. And if you're self-employed, when you're first starting out, you're not going to be making much money. You're not going to get approved for a loan. That's just the reality of the matter. So what can you do? Well, number one, you got to increase your income. And number two, you can invest smaller chunks, like I said, in the stock market into something like the S&P 500, which over, a couple of years, as your business is growing, as you're investing in the stock market, you're going to be like, holy crap, what do I have now? I have some money, right? And I can go invest in something like real estate, which now we can talk about. I think real estate is great for leverage, guys. Number one, it's leverage. Let's be honest here. Once you have a down payment, once you have that income, the tax returns, your growing income, once you're a little bit more stable, I think that is a point where you can get into real estate. And obviously, this is all relative. It depends on your scenario, your life. I mean, there's a lot of people that are 18, they come across a lot of money, they get into real estate at 20, and they start at 20. But for the majority of people, in my opinion at least, they're going to get into real estate more in their early 30s. Once they have a more stable paying job, the credit score is starting to look nice, over 700, 750. That's when they're going to be able to get the best rates. That's when they're going to be able to have the down payment. And that is a point where, going for, using leverage, that's the time to do it, in my opinion, for the majority of people. And that is, what I personally talk to people about. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you guys what to do, but when we have conversations, when I talk to people, I'm like, listen, that's the way I think it's, is the best way to go. And you guys might disagree, but in my opinion, honestly, if you're a young person with barely any money, it's dang near impossible to get into real estate, especially in this market where houses are very, very expensive. You're going to need at least, in my opinion, depending on where you are, $30,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $150,000 for a down payment. Again, depending on where you are. If you're living in Missouri, it's going to be different than living in New York or freaking California or even New Jersey, here where I am. New Jersey is an expensive spot, which is why I am renting, right? For the short term here. And this is the model that I'm following, guys. I am not personally in real estate right now. I've said that before on the channel time and time again, but I'll say it again for this video since we are talking about real estate. And again, I've been doing this for years, building up the businesses, trading, investing, and now I've come to a point where I'm 26, guys. I guess late. What would you say? Not late 20s. I'm in my mid 20s, right? Now I'm at the point where I can see buying a house or some kind of a triplex or a duplex in the short-term future, right? I'm talking maybe in the next 2-3-ish years, maybe in the next year or two, depending on how the market plays out, right? So now I feel like I'm in that position to do that. But I could tell you something for sure. I was not in the position to do that 5 years ago, right? When I was in my teens, when I was in my very early 20s, not in the position to buy a duplex, triplex. So it takes time. The moral of the story is here, guys, it takes time. And a lot of people, when you're watching TikTok, when you're watching, shorts, when you're watching reels, whatever, short form content, long form content, a lot of people are like, oh, you got to get into real estate now when you're 18, 20, 25. There's no reason to rush it. Real estate is really, in my opinion, one thing that you do not want to rush and screw up. Seriously, because it could turn into a nightmare from what I've heard. Again, I'm not in real estate right now, but it could be a freaking nightmare. And it's not as simple as a stock where, oh crap, I bought Starbucks stock. I made a mistake. Oh, I could just sell it and fine, I lose some money, but in and out, boom. A house, you buy it, you're stuck with it until you sell. And who the heck knows how long it's going to sell or how long it's going to take to sell. It's a headache. Again, you have all those fees. So do not rush into real estate. And for me, guys, again, stocks are better than real estate, especially if you're a younger person. What do you guys think about that? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my Patreon down below. And do not forget to get your 10 stocks from Moomoo with a $100 deposit and your 12 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. All those are linked down below. And with that being said, cheers, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.